The world had changed long before Rayan was born. People said the earth used to be full of color-green forests, blue oceans, golden sunlight, and cities glowing with lights. But by the time he was a boy, the sky was almost always filled with smoke. Dust covered the streets like a gray blanket, hiding the shapes of old buildings that had crumbled in the wars. People walked with tired faces, scared eyes, and quiet mouths. Everyone had lost something. Some had lost homes, some had lost hope, and some had lost the strength to keep moving. But there were still a few people who refused to let life break them. Rayan was one of them. Rayan was only 14, but he carried himself like someone much older. His hair was messy, his clothes were patched many times, and his shoes had holes big enough for dust to enter. But his eyes, those deep brown eyes always shining with fierce determination, made him different from everyone around him. His mother worked long hours repairing solar lights that barely held power anymore, and his younger sister Noor was often sick. Life had never been kind, but Rayan still believed there was something worth fighting for. Each morning before sunrise, he would leave their small metal shelter and walk to the broken school building across the street. The school had no roof, no working lights, and hardly any desks left. But inside, children sat in silence, waiting for their teacher, Miss Harlan. She was a woman with thin arms but a strong voice. She loved her students more than anything. Even in darkness, she always said, "Knowledge is the candle that keeps us alive." Rayan admired her, and he attended every class, even when the cold wind cut through his clothes like a knife. One morning, when Rayan reached the school, he found no children sitting inside. Instead, there was chaos outside the gate. Soldiers were blocking the street. Their metal armor reflected the little sunlight that pierced through the clouds. People whispered that a group of rebels had been spotted nearby, and the soldiers were searching every home, every classroom, every corner. Miss Harlan tried to speak to them, but one soldier pushed her back with a rough hand. Rayan clenched his fists. His heart burned. He hated when people used their power to hurt others. That day, classes were canceled. Rayan decided to go to the community water center to collect clean water for Noor. Clean water was rare, and the lines were long. People often fought at the pump, but Rayan waited patiently. He held the metal container tightly, thinking about how he needed to find medicine for his sister. She had been coughing badly at night, and every time she coughed, it felt like a punch to his heart. When his turn finally came, a group of older boys pushed him aside and took the pump. They were stronger, bigger, and cruel. "Move, kid," one of them said. "This world is only for the strong." Rayan's jaw tightened. "Being strong doesn't mean stealing from others," he said. But the boys only laughed. One tried to shove him, but Rayan stepped forward, refusing to fall. "I need this water for my sister," he said firmly. The boys didn't care. One threw a punch at Rayan's stomach. Pain shot through his body, but he didn't let go of the container. Another boy hit him again, and again. Blood trickled from his lip, but his eyes didn't lose their fire. Finally, a guard noticed the fight and chased the boys away. Though not with much effort, Rayan got up slowly, body aching, but he filled his container. Every step home hurt, but when he saw Noor's weak smile as he gave her the water, the pain felt lighter. "You're my hero," she whispered. He laughed, even though his ribs hurt. Days passed, and the situation in their district grew worse. Food became scarce. Soldiers patrolled the streets more often. People whispered about an uprising happening far away, in the northern valley. Rayan didn't know if the stories were true, but he could feel something changing. One night, when the wind was strong enough to shake their small shelter, Rayan woke up to voices outside. Men were arguing. He peeked through a crack and saw military trucks rolling into the district, soldiers shouting orders, dragging people out of their homes. Rayan's heart froze. He grabbed Noor's hand and told her to stay quiet. Their mother whispered, "If they come here, hide behind the metal crate. Don't make a sound." Rayan nodded, but inside him, something was boiling. Why was the world like this? Why did they have to live in fear? Why did the powerful take everything from the weak? The soldiers went house to house. They accused people of helping rebels. They took men away even if they were innocent. Rayan held Noor close, hearing her shaky breathing. Their mother held her breath. After what felt like hours, the soldiers finally left their street. The family exhaled in relief, but Rayan wasn't relieved. He was angry. Deep, burning anger that refused to die. That night, he made a decision he had never imagined before. The world might be broken, but he was not, and he wouldn't let it crush him. He wouldn't let it take his sister's future. He wouldn't let it silence people like Miss Harlan or break families like his. He whispered to himself, "If nobody else is going to fight back, then I will." It was the first time in his life that he felt something bigger than fear. He didn't know how, or when, or what exactly he would do, but he knew one thing for certain. He would fight for his family, fight for his people, fight for a world worth living in. Even if the world stood against him, even if the fight cost him everything, he would not stop, because some humans aren't born to surrender, they are born to resist, to rise, to fight, till their last heartbeat. The next morning, Rayan woke up with a strange feeling in his chest. It was not fear, not anger, and not even courage. It was something deeper, a quiet fire burning inside him. He sat outside the shelter and watched the sky slowly turn pale blue. Smoke still covered most of it, but a few rays of sunlight managed to push through. To Rayan, it looked like the sky was fighting too, refusing to give up even when darkness tried to win. He wondered if he could be like that sky, small but still shining. His mother noticed him sitting alone. She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You didn't sleep," she said softly. Rayan shook his head. "I was thinking about everything." His mother sighed. "Life is unfair, my son, but sometimes, surviving is the strongest thing anyone can do." Rayan looked at her tired face, eyes swollen from stress, hands shaking slightly from lack of food. She had survived so much, yet she still stood strong. "I don't want to just survive anymore," he whispered. "I want to change something." His mother didn't reply. She knew his heart was changing, and that scared her more than anything. Rayan was brave, too brave for a world like this. At school that day, the children were quieter than usual. Miss Harlan tried her best to act normal, but her eyes were red, and her voice sounded weak, like she hadn't slept at all. The soldiers had scared everyone. Some students didn't come back to class. Some houses were empty. Rayan noticed Noor coughing badly again, even though he had given her the clean water. He needed medicine, but medicine was rare, expensive, and controlled by the soldiers. During lunch break, Rayan approached Miss Harlan. "Teacher," he said, "is it true the soldiers took people from their homes last night?" Miss Harlan looked around to make sure no one else was listening. Then she nodded slowly. "Yes, they believe rebels are hiding among us, so they arrest innocent people to scare everyone." Rayan clenched his fists. "That's wrong." Miss Harlan sighed. "Everything is wrong now. But you must stay safe, Rayan. Your family needs you." Her words hit him hard. Yes, his family needed him, but not just to survive. They needed him to fight for them. Later that evening, Rayan went to the marketplace to look for medicine. The marketplace was nothing like the old days his mother talked about. The stalls were broken, the ground covered in dust, and most shelves were empty. People sold tiny pieces of bread for big money. Water was more expensive than gold. And medicine, well, it was almost impossible to buy. Rayan approached an older man named Farid, who used to be a pharmacist before the wars. "Do you have anything for coughing?" Rayan asked. The man looked at him with sad eyes. "I do, but soldiers took most of my supplies last week. What I have left is costly." Rayan opened his hand. All he had was a few coins, not enough. Farid sighed. "I know you. You are a good boy. If I give you the medicine, the soldiers will punish me. If I refuse, your sister suffers. Tell me, Rayan, what should I do?" Rayan swallowed hard. This world forced people to choose between fear and kindness. After a long pause, Farid took a small bottle from under the counter and placed it in Rayan's hand. "Go," he said quietly, "but be careful." Rayan's heart filled with gratitude. He bowed respectfully before running home, but he didn't know he was being watched. A soldier had seen the exchange. As Rayan stepped into the street, a heavy hand grabbed his collar and pulled him back. "Where did you get this?" the soldier yelled, snatching the bottle. Rayan tried not to panic. "It's for my sister," he said. "She's sick." The soldier's cold eyes narrowed. "Medicine is for loyal citizens only, not for street rats like you." Then, without warning, the soldier smashed the bottle on the ground. The medicine spilled into the dirt. Rayan felt something inside him break. Not fear, not sadness, something sharper. He stared at the broken glass, at the wet soil, soaking up the only chance Noor had to get better. His fists tightened. His breath became heavy. For the first time in his life, he felt rage so strong he could barely breathe. "Why?" he whispered. "Why do you hurt us?" "We did nothing," the soldier laughed. "Because we can. Now, get lost." Rayan didn't remember when his body moved, but suddenly he shoved the soldier back with all his strength. The soldier stumbled a step. People gasped. Soldiers didn't like being touched. This was dangerous. Rayan knew it, but he couldn't stop. "You think hurting us makes you powerful?" Rayan said, shaking with fury. "But one day, you'll fall. People will stop being afraid." The soldier raised his gun. "Say another word, boy, I dare you." Rayan opened his mouth, but another voice cut through the tension. "Enough." Miss Harlan stepped between them, breathing hard. Her eyes filled with fear for Rayan. "He's just a child," she told the soldier. "I'll take him away, please. Don't hurt him." The soldier sighed impatiently. "One more mistake, and he's dead." He walked away with a smirk. Rayan's legs felt weak, and he almost collapsed. Miss Harlan held his arm tightly. "Are you out of your mind?" she whispered. "Do you want to die?" Tears filled her eyes. "You can't fight soldiers alone." Rayan looked at her and said quietly, "I wasn't fighting because I'm brave. I was fighting because I'm tired. Tired of watching people suffer? Tired of doing nothing?" Miss Harlan wiped her tears. "Then don't fight alone. One person cannot change this world, but many people together can." That night, Rayan couldn't sleep again. He sat near Noor, watching her breathe weakly. His mother cried silently in the corner. Thinking he couldn't hear her, he made another decision stronger than before. He would find the resistance. The rebels. The people fighting back from the shadows. If the world wanted to break him, he would fight it till his last breath, till his heart stopped. Whatever it took. The next morning, Rayan woke up before the sun again. His eyes were swollen from lack of sleep, and his body ached from the soldier's shove. But inside his chest, something else was growing, a quiet, powerful strength. Noor's breathing was still weak, and every cough sounded like a cry for help. Rayan touched her forehead gently. She smiled in her sleep. That small smile burned a promise into his heart. He stepped outside, the cold wind brushing his face. The streets were mostly empty, covered in dust and silence. People stayed inside more often now. Fear had turned homes into prisons. Rayan walked toward the old district, where rumors said rebels sometimes passed at night. He didn't know where to begin, or who to trust. But he knew he had to try. The old district was a maze of broken houses, half-burned shops, and abandoned vehicles. It was once a lively area full of markets and music, but now it looked like a graveyard of the past. Rayan's steps echoed on the empty street. He felt eyes watching him from broken windows, but he didn't turn back. After walking for a long time, he saw an old man sitting on a pile of rubble, warming his hands over a small fire made of trash. His clothes were torn, but his eyes were sharp. "Lost, boy?" the man asked without looking up. "No," Rayan replied. "I'm looking for someone." "For who?" the old man asked, raising an eyebrow. "People who want to fight back," Rayan said quietly. The man stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed, a rough laugh full of disbelief. "Fight back? You're just a kid." "I know," Rayan said, "but I'm not scared anymore." The old man's face changed. He studied Rayan carefully, as if measuring his soul. Then he pointed toward a dark alley. "Go straight. Knock on the metal door with 3 dents. But be careful. They don't like strangers." Rayan nodded and walked into the alley. His heart pounded, but he didn't slow down. When he reached the metal door, he knocked 3 times. The door opened a crack. A pair of sharp eyes looked at him. "What do you want?" a deep voice asked. "I want to fight," Rayan said. The door opened a little more, revealing a tall man with scars on his arms. A woman stood behind him, holding a weapon. Music and soft voices echoed from inside the dark room. The man studied Rayan. "You're too young." "I don't care," Rayan said, standing firm. "My family needs me. People need help. I can do something." The tall man exchanged a look with the woman. She nodded slowly. "Bring him in," she said. Inside the room, Rayan saw nearly 20 people, men and women, young and old, sitting around wooden crates, discussing maps and plans. Weapons leaned against the walls. A broken radio played static. Smoke hung in the air like a ghost dot. An older woman stepped forward. She had gray hair tied in a bun and dark eyes filled with wisdom. "I'm Commander Sana," she said. "Why are you here, child?" Rayan took a deep breath. "Because I'm tired of watching innocent people suffer. I'm tired of being afraid. I want to fight." Commander Sana studied him for a long moment. "Fighting is not easy," she said. "You will bleed. You will lose people. You may die." Rayan met her gaze. "I know, but I'd rather die fighting than live doing nothing." The room fell silent. A young man whistled softly. "He's brave," someone whispered. Sana nodded slowly. "Very well," she said. "You may stay. But first, you train. No missions until we decide you're ready." Rayan felt his heart race with relief and fear. Training began that same afternoon. A fighter named Tarek taught him how to move silently, how to hide in shadows, how to climb broken walls without making noise. Another fighter, Liana, taught him how to read signs, how to understand patrol patterns, how to listen to danger before seeing it. "You don't need strength," she told him. "You need speed, awareness, and heart, and you have plenty of heart." Those words lit something in Rayan. For the first time in a long time, he felt useful. Not like a helpless boy, but like someone who could change something. At night, he returned home quietly so his mother wouldn't worry. She already sensed something different in him, but she didn't ask. She simply hugged him tighter than usual and said, "Stay safe." Nora's cough was getting worse. The medicine he lost haunted him like a ghost. Days passed, then weeks. Rayan trained every day. He learned how to defend himself, how to escape danger, how to think fast when everything fell apart. His muscles grew stronger, his steps lighter, his eyes sharper. One evening, Commander Sana called him over. "Rayan, you've done well," she said. "We have a mission, and I think you can help." His heart jumped. "What mission?" "There's a supply truck that comes every week," Sana said. "It carries food, medicine, and tools stolen from the people. We want to intercept it, but we need someone small and fast to get close without being noticed." "I can do it," Rayan said immediately. Tarek frowned. "It's dangerous. Soldiers guard that truck." "I don't care," Rayan said. "People need the supplies. My sister needs medicine. I can do this." Sana nodded. "Then you must listen carefully." The plan was simple. Rayan would sneak behind the truck when it stopped at the checkpoint, open a small side panel, and grab a bag of supplies. Then he would run through the narrow alley where Tarek and Liana would cover him. If everything went right, he would be safe in seconds. If anything went wrong, he would be caught. That night, Rayan couldn't sleep. He thought about Noor, about his mother, about Miss Hart, about the people who suffered every day. The thought of helping them gave him strength. Before dawn, he left home quietly and met the rebels near the checkpoint. The truck arrived right on time. Soldiers surrounded it, talking and laughing. Rayan's heart hammered in his chest, but he moved silently. Just like Tarek taught him, he crouched behind the truck, waiting for the right moment. Then he heard a soldier laugh. "We'll take extra medicine for ourselves today." Rayhan felt rage burn inside him. He moved quickly, opened the side panel, and grabbed a bag filled with medicine bottles and food packs. But he made a mistake. He stepped on a metal can. A soldier turned sharply. "Who's there?" Their eyes met. Rayhan ran. Shouts filled the air. "Stop that boy. Grab him. Shoot if you must." Rayhan sprinted with everything he had, heart pounding like a drum. He could hear bullets, soldiers, footsteps, but he didn't look back. He ran for his life. He ran for Noor. He ran for his people. And at that moment, he knew there was no turning back anymore. Rayhan ran like the ground behind him was on fire. The bag of supplies hit against his chest with every step, but he didn't loosen his grip. Soldiers shouted from behind. Boots pounded against the broken concrete. Bullets snapped through the air like angry insects. The alley ahead looked narrow and dark, but it was his only chance. "Come on, Rayhan," he whispered to himself. Just a little more. When he reached the alley, Tarek appeared from the shadows and grabbed his arm, pulling him inside. "Go," he shouted. Liana pushed a metal crate in front of the entrance to slow the soldiers down. Gunshots echoed off the walls. Dust fell from the ceilings as bullets struck the concrete. "Keep moving," Liana shouted. "Don't stop." Rayhan's lungs burned. His legs felt heavy, and his heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst. But he didn't slow down, not even for a second. He followed Tarek deeper into the maze of ruined buildings until the shouting behind them faded. They only stopped when they reached an abandoned basement where the rebels often hid. Commander Sana stood waiting. When she saw Rayhan soaked in sweat and shaking with exhaustion, her eyes softened. "You did it," she said quietly. Rayhan handed her the bag of supplies. "The medicine, it's for everyone, right?" he asked between heavy breaths. Sana nodded. "Yes, and your sister will get the treatment she needs." The moment she said those words, something deep inside Rayhan relaxed. His body trembled with relief. He leaned against the wall, trying to catch his breath. Liana placed a hand on his shoulder. "You were brave," she said. "You have the heart of a fighter." But Rayhan didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired, scared, and strangely stronger than ever. A new purpose when Rayhan returned home later that day. His mother hugged him so tightly he couldn't breathe for a moment. She had heard about the truck incident and feared the worst. Noor cried tears of joy when she saw the medicine in his hands. "Did you steal it?" she asked. "No," Rayhan said softly. "I fought for it." For the first time in many days, Noor slept peacefully. Rayhan sat beside her, watching her breathing grow steady. He felt both proud and guilty. Proud that he had helped. Guilty because he knew this path was dangerous, and one day, he might not come home. But he had made his choice. The next few days were calmer. Rayhan continued training with the rebels. Commander Sana taught him strategy, how to think before acting, how to stay alive when everything went wrong. "Courage without wisdom," she warned, "is a knife without a handle. You get hurt before you hurt the enemy." Rayhan listened carefully. He wanted to be more than brave. He wanted to be effective. One afternoon while training, Rayhan noticed a new group of people entering the rebel base, refugees from another district. Their clothes were torn, faces pale from hunger, eyes filled with fear. Among them was a boy younger than Rayhan, shaking uncontrollably. Rayhan approached him and offered a small piece of bread. The boy looked at him with disbelief. "Why are you helping me?" he whispered. "Because someone helped me once," Rayhan said. "And because we're the same." The boy's eyes filled with tears. "Soldiers burned our home," he said. "My parents, I think they're gone." The pain in the boy's voice broke something inside Rayhan. He sat with him for hours, talking softly, comforting him. When Commander Sana saw them, she placed a hand on Rayhan's back. "You're not just a fighter," she said. "You're a protector." Those words stayed in Rayhan's heart. The next mission, a week later, Commander Sana gathered everyone in the main room. A large map lay on the table. "The soldiers are transporting weapons to the new checkpoint," she said. "If they complete this, the entire South District will fall under their control." "We can't let that happen," Tarek said. "We won't," Sana replied. "We're going to destroy the transport before it reaches its destination." Everyone fell silent. This mission was bigger, riskier, deadlier. Rayhan swallowed hard. "What do you need me to do?" Sana looked at him for a long moment. "Your task is different this time. You won't be stealing or running. You'll be causing a distraction." "A distraction?" Rayhan asked. "Yes," Liana said. "We need the soldiers to focus on you just for a few seconds so we can attack from behind." Rayhan felt his heart tighten. He had faced danger before, but this was different. This wasn't running away. This was standing in front of danger. "What if they catch me?" he whispered. Sana's eyes softened. "Then we'll get you out. You won't be alone." Rayhan looked at the faces around him. People who trusted him. People who believed in him. People who were risking their lives for others. He nodded. "I'll do it." The day of the attack, the air was hot and dry when the rebels took their positions. The sun hung low, casting long shadows across the street. Rayhan hid behind a broken wall, his heart beating fast. He could hear the sound of the transport truck approaching, heavy engine rumbling. Soldiers shouting orders. Tarek whispered through the radio. "Get ready." Rayhan gripped the small smoke device in his hand, his palms sweaty. His legs trembled, but he stayed still. When the truck came into view, he felt the fear crawl up his spine like ice. Sana's voice came through. Rayan stepped out into the open. Soldiers spotted him instantly. Hey-ho. Rayan took a deep breath and threw the smoke device. It exploded into a cloud of thick, white smoke. Soldiers yelled in confusion. Gunshots erupted blindly. Rayan ducked behind a vehicle, heart racing. In the chaos, he heard Sana shout, "Now?" The rebels attacked from behind. Explosions shook the street. The truck swerved violently. Soldiers scattered. Rayan peeked out and saw Liana fighting 3 soldiers at once. Tarek throwing grenades under the truck. Sana directing their movements like a general. Rayan wanted to help, but he was pinned down by a soldier aiming straight at him. The soldier fired. Rayan rolled just in time, the bullet grazing his arm. Pain shot through him, but he kept moving. He grabbed a piece of broken metal and threw it at the soldier's face. The soldier fell back, stunned. Rayan ran, heart pounding, trying to stay alive in the chaos. After what felt like forever, the explosions stopped. The rebels had won. The truck was destroyed. The soldiers retreated. Commander Sana approached Rayan, her face covered in dust and sweat. "You did well?" she said softly. Rayan nodded, trembling. "I thought I was going to die." "You didn't," Sana said. "Because you fought." She placed her hand on his shoulder. "And because you have the heart of a warrior." Rayan looked around at the destruction-broken truck. Smoke rising, rebels helping wounded fighters. He realized something important. He wasn't fighting just for his family anymore. He was fighting for everyone who couldn't fight. For every child, every mother, every forgotten person. And for the first time, he understood what it meant to be a true warrior. The night after the attack, the rebels returned to their hidden base. Everyone was exhausted. Some were injured, some were shaken, but they were alive, and they had won. Rayan sat on the ground, holding a cloth to the cut on his arm. His body ached, but he didn't complain. He watched the other Starek laughing, even though his leg was bleeding. Liana helping bandage wounds. Commander Sana thanking every fighter personally. Rayan felt proud, but also troubled. Every victory seemed to bring more danger, more fear, more responsibility. He was no longer just a boy. He was a fighter now. A small part of him wished he could go back to the days when his biggest worry was finding water or listening to Miss Harlene's lessons. But those days were gone. He had chosen this path, and there was no turning back. That night, when he returned home, Nora hugged him tight, almost crying. "You're always hurt," she whispered. "I'm scared something will happen to you." Rayan forced a smile. "Nothing will happen to me. I'm strong," but inside, he wasn't sure. His mother looked at him with worried eyes. "Rayhan," she said quietly, "I know you think you're helping, and you are, but you're still my child. I don't want to lose you." Rayan lowered his head. "If I don't fight, we lose everything anyway," he said. "I'm fighting so that one day Nor won't be scared, and you won't cry at night, and kids won't grow up in darkness." His mother cupped his face with trembling hands. "Just promise me you'll be careful." "I'll try," Rayan said. It was the only truth he could give her. A storm approaches. The next few days were tense. Soldiers increased patrols. They questioned people harshly. Rumors spread that the military was planning a massive strike on anyone suspected of rebellion. Fear grew in the air like smoke. Commander Sana called an emergency meeting. Everyone gathered around the table. Sana's face was serious. "The enemy is planning to destroy our entire base," she said. "We intercepted their radio. They want to end us in one attack." The room froze. "We have 2 choices," she continued. "Run or fight." Tarek stood up. "If we run, they'll hunt us. If we fight, we have a chance." Liana nodded. "We've protected people. We've given hope. We can't stop now." Rayan looked at the map. The soldiers were planning to attack at dawn. He swallowed hard. "What do you want me to do?" he asked Sana. Sana placed her hand on his shoulder. "This battle will be very dangerous. I don't want you in the front line." Rayan shook his head firmly. "No, I want to fight with everyone. I'm ready." Sana sighed. "Your heart is brave, Rayan, sometimes too brave." But she didn't refuse him. The night before, the Endrian went home early to see his family before the coming battle. Nor was awake, drawing a small picture of the 3 of them holding hands. "For you?" she said, giving the picture to Rayhan. "To protect you." Rayhan's chest tightened. He hugged her gently. "Thank you," he whispered. "I'll come back. I promise." He didn't know if that promise was true, but he needed her to believe it. He hugged his mother next. She held him longer than usual, almost like she didn't want to let go. "Come back to me," she whispered. "I will," Rayhan said, though fear was twisting his heart. That night, he couldn't sleep. He sat outside, looking at the broken moonlight shining through the clouds. He remembered everything: Miss Harlene's lessons, the water fight, the medicine he lost, the day he found the rebels, the missions, the battles. Every memory felt like a piece of who he had become. He didn't know if he was ready, but he knew he couldn't stop. The final fight. Dawn broke slowly, the sky turning from black to dull gray. The rebels took their positions. They hid behind broken walls, abandoned cars, and piles of rubble. The air was cold, and the silence felt heavy. Commander Sana raised her hand. "Stay focused, stay hidden, and stay alive." Rayan took a deep breath. His heart beat fast, but he didn't run. He held the picture Nor gave him in his pocket. It felt like a shield. Then the ground shook. Military trucks rolled in. Soldiers marched in lines, heavily armed. Drones flew above. The attack had begun. Get ready, Tarek shouted. A loud explosion erupted on the left side. Dust and smoke filled the air. Gunfire followed. The whole street became chaos. Rayan ran from cover to cover, just like he trained. He threw a smoke bomb to hide Liana's position. He helped drag a wounded rebel to safety. He shouted warnings when soldiers approached from the back, but the enemy kept coming. Wave after wave. A soldier spotted Rayan. There he is. The kid. Rayan ducked as bullets hit the wall behind him. He ran to the next cover, his heart racing. He saw Tarek struggling with a soldier. Without thinking, Rayan leaped forward and tackled the soldier, giving Tarek a chance to escape. Gunfire rang out everywhere. The smell of smoke and metal filled the air. Rayan felt dizzy, but he kept fighting. He climbed onto a broken vehicle to throw another smoke device. Suddenly a sharp pain tore through his side. A bullet. Rayan gasped and fell to his knees. The world spun. His breath grew heavy. He clutched his side, warm blood dripping through his fingers. But he didn't stop. He forced himself up, teeth clenched. He threw the smoke device with all his strength. It exploded perfectly, covering the rebels' retreat. Commander Sana ran toward him. Rayan, you're hurt, come with me. Rayan shook his head weakly. No, keep going. They need you. Sana grabbed his shoulders. Don't do this. You're just a boy. Rayan smiled faintly. I'm a fighter. Remember, a soldier aimed at Sana. Rayan saw it before she did. With the last of his strength, he pushed her aside. Bang. Another bullet hit him, this time in the chest. He fell backward, hitting the ground hard. His vision blurred. Everything sounded far away. He felt cold. Sana held him, shaking. Rayan, stay with me. His breathing slowed. He felt his heartbeat fading, but he wasn't afraid. He saw Noor's smile in his mind. He heard his mother's voice. He remembered the rebels fighting for freedom. He remembered why he started. His lips formed a weak smile. Tell them, don't stop fighting. Sana cried, shaking him. Please, Rayan, please. His voice was a whisper now. Tell Noor, I kept my promise. His heart grew quiet. His eyes closed slowly, and then silence. Rayan's body became still, but his face held peace. He had fought for others, till his last breath, till his heart stopped. But the fire he lit inside the people, that fire spread. The rebels won that day. Not because they were strong, but because of the heart of a boy who never gave up. And in the stories told 4 years afterwards, people always said, there was once a human who fought till his heart stopped. And because of him, we learned how to live again.